And tonight with loved ones of revered Detroit neurosurgeon Dr. Devon Hoover still waiting for answers 7 months after he was found in his home.
The 53-year-old was found shot and killed back on April 23rd at his home in Detroit. 4 months later, at the end of August, Detroit police said that before snow hits the ground, they would have an announcement in Hoover's investigation.
But as snow covers the ground in Detroit tonight, loved ones tell us they have heard nothing.
In the past week, there have been some major updates in the mysterious unaliving of a well-known Detroit neurosurgeon whose body was found wrapped in a carpet in his attic on April 23, 2023. Dr. Devon Hoover, 53, was a board-certified neurosurgeon and had a special interest in the treatment of neck and back disorders. He completed his medical training at Indiana University School of Medicine and his residency at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. He also completed a fellowship for the prerehearsal nerve surgery at Louisiana State University School of Medicine and one in pediatric neurosurgery at Children's Hospital of Michigan. Dr. Devon was world-renowned and considered one of the best neurosurgeons in the country, so his untimely demise came as a complete shock as to why someone would take the life of someone else who saved so many. April 23, 2023 will be a day forever sketched in the mind of the Detroit medical community. On the sleepy block of West Boston in the Edison district, a beautiful mansion with picture-perfect landscaping was the scene of a horrible tragedy. Before things were forever changed inside the walls of the 1,300-square-foot home, it was used for fundraisers and social events, and the doctor appeared to be living his best life. Not only was he a great doctor, he was a well-loved doctor who took care of people and helped his community. However, his good heart allowed him to be blinded by someone close to him that ultimately decided to take his life. After he was found unalive, a massive investigation was launched, and over the 15-month period, in conjunction with local, state, and federal law enforcement partners, the investigation also spanned over 5 states and 3 countries. Sizable documents and evidence were recovered, investigated, studied, and then outlined to the tune of many terabytes worth of digital data, according to law officials. To break it down, with 1 terabyte of data, you can store an average of 100,000 photos with today's smartphones, and roughly 250,000 documents can fit on 1 terabyte of data. So by all accounts, it appeared detectives crossed their T's and dotted their I's. The investigative report in this case is 181 pages. The 5 states mentioned earlier as part of this investigation are Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Texas, and California, plus the 3 countries. First one, of course, is the U.S., England, and then France. A total of 71 plus officers worked on this case, 87 plus civilian witnesses, 77 body-worn cameras were put in as evidence, 44 video interviews conducted, and 24 different video surveillance cameras were investigated too. All of these things are said to be over hundreds of hours worth of video evidence that was reviewed. Now, when it came to cell phone extractions, authorities examined over 40 different phones. That alone was over 2 terabytes of data. Investigators collected over 300 pieces of other evidence and conducted 134 search warrants. 94 items of the evidence were sent to the Michigan State Police Crime Lab to be analyzed. Furthermore, there was CASHAPP and the PNC bank fraud with over $30,000 worth stolen, and investigators believe there is more to come. Also, 2 expensive watches were missing, one worth over $6,000 and the other worth over $7,000. Then there's the doctor's Range Rover. It was worth $77,000. That is also part of the case. The total data received again is over several terabytes. Now, to try and break that down, if one person received and looked at all of the digital evidence in this case on a 24/7 basis, it would take years for them to go through alone. Everything I'm about to tell you on this case is all alleged facts in this heinous crime. On April 22, 2023, the Detroit Police Department said they received a call from a person about a parking complaint. Officers would be dispatched to the area at 9901 Coyle Street in the city of Detroit. When the police arrived, they observed a white Range Rover blocking a driveway. They investigated further and noticed what appeared to be bodily fluids on the interior of the Range Rover. The police then secured the Range Rover and tagged it as evidence before towing it to the Detroit Police tow lot. The registered owner of that white Range Rover was discovered to be Dr. Devon Hoover, the renowned neurosurgeon of 150 West Boston Boulevard in Detroit. Authorities eventually made their way to the doctor's house that same day and noted that the driveway gate leading to and from the rear of the mansion was wide open. The police proceeded to knock on the front and back door, but no response at the time. However, by the next day, April 23rd, loved ones of Dr. Hoover called Detroit police to do a welfare check because he did not show up to check on his sick mother in the state of Indiana. Police then returned to the home and noticed that the driveway gate leading to the rear of the house was still wide open. Further investigation revealed the presence of what appeared to be bodily fluids on the rear exterior side of the back door of the home. So the decision was made to force entry into the mansion, which the doctor kept in pristine condition. Once inside, police searched all over, and eventually they would make it to the third floor of the mansion, and in a crawl space, face down wrapped in a carpet, they found the doctor. According to authorities, he had been unalived and appeared to have been shot in the head, wearing nothing but socks on his feet. Once the doctor went to the medical examiner's office, it was determined that he not only was shot once, but twice in the head. However, the bigger question is, who would harm a man who saved so many lives and does a lot for his community and has no known enemies? After the discovery of Dr. Hoover, the Crime Scene Service Unit processed the scene at the mansion, and subsequently, the investigation revealed that the doctor's cell phone, wallet, money, credit cards, and watches were gone. The investigation also revealed that almost instantly after the crime in the mansion, multiple fraudulent transactions were being made from Dr. Hoover's multiple financial institutions. These transactions went on for a few days after his untimely demise. Going forward, the investigation would collect the doctor's phone records, and one particular number stuck out more than most. That number was said to have more than 4,000 communications with the doctor, and upon further investigation, it would be determined that the owner of that phone was a 34-year-old man by the name of Desmond Burk, who was also from Detroit. From the texts gathered, it was also determined that Desmond and the doctor were in a private relationship with one another, and on occasion, the doctor allegedly paid Desmond for his services, according to authorities. The investigation was further complicated because many witnesses were reluctant to come forward with sensitive and personal information. On the day the doctor was unalived, his cell phone traveled from his home on West Boston to the area of Desmond's home, and then the phone returned back to the home on West Boston for a short period of time before ending up at the Fairlane Mall. Furthermore, there was a lot of evidence placing the doctor's cell phone at the same place as Desmond on multiple occasions. Also, on the day of the crime, Desmond was seen driving the doctor's Range Rover, and his fingerprints were also inside the vehicle. When officers searched Desmond's home, they found one of the doctor's Cartier watches. Authorities then learned about another home linked to Desmond, and in April of 2024, they would find another Cartier watch there that the doctor had just purchased a day before his unaliving. The whole investigation took 15 months before an arrest was made. Desmond was a person of interest early on and taken into custody in the case on April 28, 2023, but he was released on May 2, 2023, because of lack of evidence, according to authorities. But my question is, it seems like they had a lot of evidence showing that he should have been a suspect, however he was released. While he was locked up, though, someone did break into the empty mansion just hours before the funeral for the doctor that took place on April 30th, 2023. Desmond was out of jail almost a whole year under close surveillance while Detroit detectives built a stronger case against him. But sadly, tragedy would strike again. On April 17, 2024, Desmond was involved in a fender bender when a 67-year-old man named Rita of Dearborn accidentally bumped into the back of the car Desmond was driving. The accident happened at the intersection of West Chicago Street and Greenfield Road around 6:45 p.m. that day. The two men both got out of their cars and began to argue, according to authorities. Police then said Desmond punched Reda and left him lying in the street in the road rage incident. Once law officials got to the scene, they found Reda unresponsive with a serious head injury. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but tragically succumbed to his injuries on May 11, 2024. Desmond was found and arrested by May 15th of 2024 and charged with second-degree unaliving. He did get a bond set at $1 million, and the requirement was he needed to be on house arrest and wear a GPS tethering device if he was released. All of this happened while he was still being considered a possible suspect for the doctor's demise just a year prior. Going forward, Desmond was not able to bond out, but come August 7, 2024, he was officially considered the primary suspect in Dr. Hoover's unaliving. Desmond is now currently being charged in regards to the doctor for one count of first-degree premeditated unaliving, felony unaliving, larceny over $20,000, using a computer to commit a crime, and possession of a firearm by a felon, and felony firearm second offense. All that on top of the second-degree unaliving in the road rage tragedy. However, if Desmond was already behind bars and not let out when he was first picked up in 2023, the road rage incident would have never happened, and that man would probably still be alive.
This is the last video of her dear husband, Reda Saleh, this past April 17th at his shop in Dearborn. He would never come home. There would be no more birthdays.
He was my caregiver. He was my everything.
On his way home from work that evening, Saleh was involved in a minor fender bender. Saleh and the other driver got out of their cars. Police and the Wayne County prosecutors say the other driver, 34-year-old Desmond Burks, punched the 67-year-old, knocking him to the pavement. He would never regain consciousness. Reda Saleh, May 11th. What this heartbroken family did not know until yesterday, Desmond Burks was under an intense Detroit police investigation for the Devon Hoover nearly a year before. Days after the doctor's body was found in his mansion, Burks was held by police but released. Prosecutor Kim Worthy and Detroit Police Chief James White conveyed yesterday that much more investigating of Burks and the doctor's was needed. Police discovered Hoover and Burks had an intimate relationship. Chief White says no one in Hoover's life was in any danger, but what about the public?
Beyond that, many have questions, though, how a well-respected and very successful doctor ended up dating or talking to a man that was a felon with a very sketchy past. Desmond had did prison time for arson and gun crimes, to name a few, before he even met the doctor. The company we keep is important because not everything that is good for us. Dr. Hoover was described as an exceptional person in nearly every way. A loving son and brother, a brilliant, accomplished surgeon, an unrivaled collector and caretaker of all things beautiful, and a champion of art and culture. The doctor's loss was definitely a tremendous loss to many, and his life mattered, and he was an important person. He saved lives and should still be here. I am glad that the person allegedly responsible is behind bars and can't take any more innocent lives. Do you think, though, the court dropped the ball, letting Desmond out of jail in 2023 after he was first picked up about the doctor? Let me know. My thoughts and prayers are definitely with the entire family, and I'm just glad the family can now have a sense of peace knowing that the person who allegedly did this crime is behind bars. Also, please don't forget to comment your thoughts and prayers for this family in their ongoing difficult time, and hit that like button and share to make your people aware. And as always, remember to stay woke. Things change quickly.